friends, so today I am here with my husband.
Hello.
We bought books for the first time this year. People always expect that I have a really large book collection, and because it's combined with another reader, sometimes it feels pretty large. But I get most of my books from the library.
Yeah, and I read almost exclusively digitally. That buying these physical releases was almost a waste because I'll never get to them.
So, but we thought we would show you some of the things that we picked up and that we hope that we will love and that you'll maybe love too. So, what's your first book, Victor?
First up, we have Cleopatra in Space, Volume 1, Target Practice, by Mike Mayhack. It is a middle grade scholastic book. There are no bad middle grade scholastic comics. It is obviously about Cleopatra. She's 15 years old. She doesn't want to be queen. So she goes to space because reasons, and there's a war, and it's, big space opera epic. I've read one chapter. It's a lot of fun. It's exactly what I expected. I've heard great things about this for a while. There's 6 of them out now already, so that's a good sign that it's at least selling well.
Scholastic is the #1 publisher of comics.
Yeah, everyone is fighting between Marvel and DC, but Scholastic outsells them both every year.
And for $1, I picked up American Panda by Gloria Chow. I believe I read this book last year, either in the fall or winter, and it's a really sweet story about a girl who goes to MIT to become a doctor, except she's afraid of germs. Her parents want her to be a doctor. She's an Asian girl whose parents pressured her into being a doctor. And along with trying to overcome that difficulty and figure out what she really wants to do with her life, she's also trying to manage the fact that her brother, who was estranged and disowned, is suddenly back in her life now that she doesn't live with her parents. It's a really good read. I feel like I should have paid more than $1 for this.
I've heard of this and seen it around for years, but I never knew any of that, so wow.
This cover does not convey the seriousness.
There is a stigma around comic books that they're just for kids, and that means that if that means a thrift store employee will ring up any comic as 25 cents for kids, even if that book is a $25 trade paperback that inspired the highest grossing film of all time. Yeah, I have a copy of Infinity Gauntlet now. I've read this already on Hoopla. It's you gotta be really into old school, it's very much late 80s style, it's very overly written, and because it's a big crossover event, there's hundreds of characters that I've never even heard of pop up in this. It's very different from the movie. The main characters are Silver Surfer and Adam Warlock.
I don't know who Adam Warlock is.
I've read this and I don't really know who Adam Warlock is. But yeah, it's it's drawn by George Perez, who he draws just hundreds of characters on every page. So it's very fun to look at. I will probably never actually read this again.
So this book you actually picked out for me because you thought I would like it. So neither of us have read it. We know almost nothing about it, but it's a really pretty cover. And I noticed that it is the shape of a violin because apparently this is a dystopian story that takes place in London and involves music and most people not having memories of what life was like before. That's all I know about it. I find book hauls really uninteresting, honestly, because nobody knows what they're talking about, which is why I like this, because we've had the time to look at most of the books or have actually read them already.
Yeah, but this one's a mystery. I thought you'd like it because it's a, YA dystopia, very, 2000s vibe, but also it's about music, and in D&D you always play a bard, so I just thought it was, Hunger Games with music. Next up, I picked up The Secret Science Alliance by Eleanor Davis. Speaking of books we know nothing about, I know nothing about this. It just looks cute. It looks like it's about science. There's just a lot of science-y bits on it, a lot of labels pointing to what things are, a lot of weird chart-style page layouts.
I like that the title rhymes.
Yeah, I think it's about kids who, do science, and maybe they solve mysteries or do adventures, but with science.
So I picked up So You Want to Talk About Race, which I read back in March, and I wanted to buy it, but we didn't have the money then. And then the entire month of June happened, and this book actually went out of print because there were so many orders. So then we found it on sale at Target when we needed to pick up some groceries, so I decided to buy it on impulse because I really, really liked it. I think it was one of the best books I've read all year. It really did a lot to put my thoughts into actual words. It helped me explain my feelings. This is a really good, accessible entry point. If you have any questions that you shouldn't be bothering your Black friends about, they have enough going on in their lives. They don't need to perform free labor for you.
You should check on your Black friends and say, hey, are you okay with what's going on? But don't, ask them to teach you what it's like to be Black.
Just buy a book from a Black person.
And hey, you know what I like about this book? It's short. I could read this in a weekend. This is less than 250 pages.
I did read it in a weekend. Okay, so you have the last two books.
Yes. So this is a manga I picked up at the thrift store. It is The Legend of Zelda, The Minish Cap. This is adapted from the Game Boy Advanced game, which I've only played a little bit, but that's the one where his hat is a talking bird. But this is created by Akira Himekawa, which is a pseudonym for a duo of two female manga creators. And what's interesting about them is that they do all the Zelda manga, but they're all in different art styles. Most creators will just stick to one style, or maybe it'll get better over time, but this one just looks different all the time, because every Zelda game looks different.
I like that. I really love the Zelda games because they do offer a real variety. Just the simple adventure story giving you so many places and ways you can go.
Yeah, no, they're fun little adventure games, and adventure books are one of my favorite genres, especially for comics, so I'm excited for this one. Oh, and hey, I just noticed this.
I've known this the whole video.
I love you. Last up, I have something that I've wanted for a very long time. I always thought if we ever went to Japan, I would pick this up, just whatever issue's on sale that week, just as a time capsule. But a friend sent me this, and it is a copy of Weekly Shonen Jump, which is the magazine that the world's greatest manga is published in.
Sometimes the world's worst manga, too. Let's not give them too much credit.
Yeah, it's 400 pages, and about 100 pages are really good. It's from 2006. It's just fun to hold it. I've never seen one in real life. It's just printed on weird paper that's...
It's printed on recycled paper.
It's recycled, so some of it is bright pink, and some of it's green, and it's just looks awful, and it's just great. But I've always wanted one of these. I don't read Japanese. I started learning this weekend on Duolingo, but I can't read this yet. But it's just fun. I think it's neat. I don't know. What are your thoughts on owning a copy of Shonen Jump?
I also don't read or speak Japanese.
It's just neat.
So, those are all of the books that we recently purchased or were given to us, and it's actually been super fun to actually have new things in the house. Our apartment doesn't have a lot of new experiences anymore.
Yeah, reading things digitally is great, but physically holding something that you could not hold the day before is a new experience. I've always liked shopping, and even buying candy bars is an experience these days. So to get books that are going to last more than it takes to eat a candy bar, that's always nice.
Love that serotonin. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you want to tell us about something that's making you happy, please let us know down in the comments. And if you want to see more from me, you can subscribe right here, watch another video of mine, or support me on Patreon. And hey, I love you. Love you too.
I love you.